winning this award is very meaningful, particularly that it's coming from the Canadian Council for Aboriginal Business. That's actually what really makes it touching, that it's the Indigenous community that's actually providing the award. It gives me a sense that in my journey professionally, that I've been able to help make a little bit of a difference.
Mark's approach to developing and building relationship with Indigenous communities has been the cornerstone of everything that he's designed and built to date.
His commitment is palpable when it comes to the Indigenous community, and it's not one that floats around. It is cemented in good business. His ability to build trust with the Indigenous communities that he worked with over time shows in the major deals that were accomplished within Suncor.
Suncor is where I met Mark. He came to Suncor in 2008. It's easy for me to tell you why Mark deserves the Award for Excellence in Aboriginal Relations. Mark really understood and believed in the importance of strengthening relationships with Indigenous peoples. And he came at it from such a genuine relationship-oriented perspective and a learning mindset. So, as Mark strengthened his own relationships with Indigenous leaders and Indigenous employees, he was learning and listening, and he really believed in the importance of Indigenous peoples sharing in the benefits of resource development.
Every time I ran into Mark, he was always inquisitive. He was always asking me questions. He was always wanting to know how my life is. And he would even question how things are with my family. And to me, that's something that goes far beyond just a workplace. This is a person that has commitment to developing and maintaining a relationship. And that's critical in everything that we do in our Indigenous communities.
When you sit down with Mark, you're the only person in the room, and he's very intent on knowing who you are as a person and what you do. And he's very supportive. I mean, you can see it in the procurement champions. A guy like Mark Little, when he walks into the room, people pay attention because he's a genuine human being who had a vision and who understood the importance of the Indigenous relationships.
I've worked in oil sands and the energy business my entire professional career. A lot of times we're working in areas that have been the traditional lands of Indigenous people, and we're in the communities and we become neighbors. And so this isn't like we're buying something at a store and disappearing. We're going to basically live together, literally for decades, for generations. And so to some degree, our life's journeys professionally and the life journeys within the Indigenous communities have forged our paths together. And so I think it's important that despite the challenges, despite the issues that arise, that we need to find a way to work through it. We need to have deep relationships.
During Mark's leadership, we went from Indigenous procurement of about $700 million to $3.1 billion with Indigenous businesses in 2022. But more importantly, he set the tone and embedded in the organization these values of respect, of transparency, of mutual benefit and inclusion, and that continues today. So Mark's legacy lives on at Suncor.
My dad really was able to cast a vision, but he was also able to show people what's possible and create a path to actually get there. And he was really good at motivating people along that journey. And I've always noticed about my dad that he always seeks win-wins when he's negotiating or trying to find a path forward with people. He really wants to find something that works well for all of the different stakeholders and shareholders involved.
One of the first transformative deals I ever worked on was in Cold Lake. And all of the Indigenous communities were trying to do business with Imperial Oil in Cold Lake, and we were trying to figure out, how do you get everybody happy here when 7 First Nations are all competing for exactly the same business? And so through a cooperative and collaborative discussion between the First Nations and Imperial and such at the time, we talked about, could you join forces and instead of competing, move forward collectively and as an opportunity to grow everybody's business and interest going forward. And that became the genesis of Seven Lakes, which was the 7 First Nations, all with lake in their names. And they formed an industrial company that now has big business. It's grown tremendously over a period of time, and it's driven employment and economic growth.
Congratulations, Mark. You are now sitting in a crowd of amazing human beings. You have the responsibility to uphold the role and this award. So congratulations again for everything. You are an amazing human being.
My dear friend Mark, it has been an incredible journey, and I know it's not over. Congratulations on all your success, past, present, and future. I'm so grateful to call you a friend and a colleague. All the very best.
I think one of the things that I've hugely benefited from is the Indigenous leaders and people in the communities that have taken time to teach me, to show me the challenges that they've faced, the patience they've had with my ignorance as I've expressed my opinion and realized, oh, I literally had no clue about this particular situation. I'm better for it, thank you, and that is the greatest gift you could have ever given me.